So you don't share the topic with the guests so they can prepare. I'm gonna say that when we go live.
That makes too much sense, right?
No, talk. Yeah, that's like, hey.
Say it now.
But see, the thing is, like, when guys get together, we don't have a scripted. Like, if you're just hanging out, smoke cigars, playing PlayStation, whatever, it's just like it flows. So when we talk about, we know.
But when one guy comes prepared, it's like, this motherfucker came prepared.
Well, right. and that becomes a topic of conversation as well. Right?
If it makes you feel better, we're not prepared either. So.
Good.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Dan the Realtor. Something big is about to happen in the housing market. Help is on the way for veteran homeowners. We got the DMV Real Estate Report, the Real Estate Hot or Not. Then we're going to jump into the comments section. Welcome to the Real Estate Wire, folks. What's going on, everybody? I'm Dan the Realtor.
Coach Marcus, what's up, y'all?
Today we got a special guest. We got John Coester from CLA Title. What's going on, John?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So John is the owner of CLA Title.
I am. And before we start, guys, I want to say this episode is sponsored by CLA Title and Escrow, a national title company licensed in 36 states. We primarily focus in Maryland, DC, Virginia, and Florida, and we are fully focused on the purchase business.
You know, that's
CLA. You should get me to do that, bro. You like that?
We'll sponsor your guys' thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a song. I put a song out right after. Like CLA. Like by minute.
That's the first sponsorship that we've had in 50 episodes.
Really?
40. Nobody else. Thank you. You're the first one to
sponsor these cigars. What is this? Feral?
You don't smoke?
Underground.
No, don't.
Okay.
John Marcus is a man of God.
They got nothing to do with me smoking a cigar.
Yeah, I smoke with a lot of religious guys.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it's cool. I mean, but I don't do it. I don't.
Yeah, he never got down with the cigar.
He told me that he said he wanted to start a cigar podcast with you, and you said yes. And then he found out that.
Remember, we were like, that was originally like, I was like,
then
we could smoke cigars, we could drink, we could talk trash.
I don't drink.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't think I'm gonna smoke cigars. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I don't the taste, and then like it gets me like my head spins. So I tried them. I just can't.
Yeah, the best thing about cigars is like it's an acquired taste. But then once you get in it, you're like, oh man, this is actually. And then there's some benefits. There's a lot of benefits to nicotine. I think they've been showing like the benefits of nicotine to like it makes you more alert, and it actually acts as like a performance, can act like a performance enhancer.
I've never heard there was any benefit to nicotine.
I don't have either, but
it's a catecholamine. Catecholamine.
The benefits of smoking.
The benefits of inhaling burning fire into your lungs. Yeah, I don't know if that was a real topic.
So, John, what got you into the title business?
So I'll tell you what happened. So my dad was a real estate appraiser, so I grew up in the industry. And my brother then started a appraisal management company called Coester VMS.
Okay.
And so we were probably like our early 20s, mid 20s at that time. And so I was working at the nightclubs, like a Fur nightclub and everything.
Fur.
I remember those days, yeah.
Yeah, John
I worked there 4 to 5 days a week. I did
for those you guys who can't see him,
everything.
John is like 6'9".
6'7".
You're 6'7".
Yeah.
So
I gotta ask you if you play ball. Did you play ball?
No, I didn't. I goofed around in high school. Yeah. Okay. So and I matured late too.
Yo, what?
Matured late. Like I got
matured late. Okay.
Yeah.
Late. Okay.
So I was like, so my brother started that, then I came and helped him, and then I started doing sales for him. I got really good at sales. Like I was the #1 sales guy. And then eventually I just wanted to start my own thing. Mm-hmm. So I was going to become a real estate agent. I thought about real estate. I thought about title. I'm sorry, that's title, and I thought about being a lender. And I was like, well, I know all the real estate agents. I know all the lenders. So why not start title, right? So me and my business partner, Matt, were just talking. I was like, hey, I'm going to start a title company. You want to be part of it? He didn't know anything about title. He had a structured finance background, so he kind of knew a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I knew a little bit, but we put some money up, hired a processor, hired a part-time attorney at that time, and asked all my friends. I was like, hey, man, you're going to support me? Some said yes, some said no, right? They had their people.
Yeah.
And Josh Ross was actually one of the guys who really helped support me. He's a big agent around here. And he started introducing me to all these agents. He wasn't sending me his business at that time, but he was introducing me to all these different agents. And that really helped me out. And then there we go.
Yeah.
Dude, you make a really good point, because I find the most successful people that I know, they're just looking for an opportunity,
Yeah.
right? They're not looking for you to do it for them. Just make the intro. Hey, I'm gonna introduce you to this guy. I'll introduce you
Right.
to that
Yeah.
guy. You take it from there, right? So it's up to you, like how you choose to capitalize on whatever opportunity is
Mhm.
put in front of you. And I heard that when you were speaking, man. I think that's really admirable,
Yeah.
to say the least. You're
Well,
one of
most people
the
wanna
few
help
guys I
you.
would say that about.
You just have to ask. Like
Mhm.
you're in lending, right? If you're like, hey, I'm trying to get more realtors, and you ask people that know more real estate agents, they'll introduce you. They'll do it. And then you just got to ask, and then that's how it went. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got a real unique approach to like getting business. Like you're just kind of like chill with it. You're not like all up in everybody's face, like, oh,
No,
you
we're
use
pretty
my title
aggressive,
company.
actually.
Really?
Yeah,
Didn't seem aggressive
our
to
company,
me.
Our company is really aggressive at sales.
Now, on what
describe
end?
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
We have 3 inside sales callers. We have that make 100 calls a day. That's all they do is set appointments, and they what's it called? We have about 16 sales reps, and so we're very aggressive with that. And our sales team, they have quotas they meet. They have, how many calls are you doing? Kind of like a team. We have call day and everything, and it's very aggressive. Like we don't just
Who are you calling?
real estate agents,
Okay, just agents.
just
Okay.
agents. That's it.
I've never gotten a call, bro.
Well, because we have a CRM that we use, and you're under me. So that's probably why. Yeah.
Oh, so they leave me alone.
Yeah, they know that you're you work with me. Yeah.
And you hit the databases in every state that you're licensed in.
So we're licensed in 36 states.
Oh, okay.
But we use that for more refi business. So when we started the company, and I came from the appraisal management background, I only knew a lot of big lenders at the time, like call center lenders.
Yeah.
So we went and got all the licenses really quickly. And then I remember I spoke to a couple of the guys I knew, First Guarantee Mortgage, eLend, and they were like, yeah, we'll sign you up. Right. And at one point they were sending like 40, 50 refis a day. Because those are call center guys, right? They don't care, low fees.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened was, and it was great. Like we were just crushing. We're like, yep. This is one thing you learn in business. You're like, yep, billionaire coming, that's the kind of attitude. And then one day we get a call and the eLend's basically going a different direction.
Yeah. They're
like, yeah, we're starting our own title company. And we're like, right? And so we were going to go out of business. So we finally we still had a couple other clients, so we didn't go out of business. Obviously, I'm here. But what's it called? Then we decided to go after the real estate agents. It was just an easier business. You're not competing with these big companies. I mean, you're competing with Fidelity and those guys, right? And those are billion-dollar businesses. So then we said, let's just go after real estate agents. It's easy to work with. You have a lot more, lot less volume per client, but you have a lot more clients in an area. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can pick and choose. You can say, hey, there's 100 agents in the Maryland, D.C. area that can give you some business. And so that's what we went there, and it never stopped. And the refi business is really cyclical. So it kind of up and down. I mean, the guys that I know now are struggling.
Yeah. Refi business is dead right now.
Yeah, it's dead.
Purchase business is slower.
But,
but I've had experiences firsthand with CLA a few closings. I mean, we've done some, but even just other agents have used you all in different offices. So it's always been a pretty smooth deal,
Has it? Yeah.
I've never had any problem. And the one thing as a lender, I'm always looking for is the ease of use when I'm quoting my clients.
Yeah.
Because they ask me, what do closing costs look like? Well, I can give you what my lender fees are.
Yeah.
But I can't really tell you what the title company fees are. I can't get an estimate of transfer taxes and things like that. So when I'm looking for a title company, if you don't have an online website and if I can't get a calculator and y'all show up on Qualia, so if I can't find you that way, I don't recommend it because then I'm flying blind and I'm trying to give my clients as much accurate information as possible, and especially title companies that will honor whatever fees are online. It's always a slam dunk for me, so I like working with y'all. So
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
So how'd you get into lending?
I was unemployed, bro. Actually,
You used to work at a big bank, didn't
I
you?
was unemployed, and now I'm going to start lending out
I
money.
was on the street.
I mean, quick story is flunked out of college, and then I started working at Navy Federal Credit Union. Left there in 2001. Helped start XM Sirius Radio. 2003, I got into the mortgage business as a small correspondent lender. Then I worked at BB&T and SunTrust for a little bit. Went back to Navy Federal. Was leading some teams there, and then I was like, man, I was doing 120 deals a year, like barely cracking like 50 grand. Like,
Oh, wow.
In terms of my compensation. And some realtors are like, dude, you way better than what Navy Federal like gives you credit for. Like, so they just kind of, some people opened up some doors, and I just kept following the breadcrumbs, and then became top producers in the retail space of lending. And then this year I started the Fields Mortgage Group. I've been wanting to be a broker for a minute, but I didn't think that I was ready. And my wife, for like the last 3 years, was like, yo, you need to do this. You're ready. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. But I'm glad I waited, because there's some things on the backside I needed to learn, some understanding the numbers, understanding how this part interacts with that. And now I'm rolling. So
See your own company.
mhm.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. I partner with a large company. I've got access to over 200 lenders from a wholesale space, and closing loans quickly, cheapest rates in the market.
UWM and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So they're one of the people I partner with. So it's been a really, really good ride. I mean, I can't wait to see what next year will do. Because I've only been doing it's only been March, so we're 8 months in.
Yeah.
So when the spring market hits next year, I'm ready to dominate.
Where do you think the market's going to go?
That's a good question. I think that's a good segue into our first real estate topic, which is something big is about to happen.
You go
in
there
the
and
housing
look at
market.
rates. Yeah.
I want to hear your opinion on this, John. So, according to this article, they start off, if you're feeling muddy about what's happening with home prices, that's no surprise. Some people are saying housing prices are falling, even though data proves otherwise. Part of that misconception is because people are getting their information from unreliable sources, but it's also coming from the media and some misrepresentation of what the data really shows. So to keep it simple, here's what you really need to know about housing prices. Number one, normal home price seasonality seems to be coming back. So over the last, I'm sure you saw it, John, I'm sure you saw it, Marcus, over the last 2 years, 3 years, we lost that seasonal predictability. Where we know that we would have a ebb in the winter, and then we'd have the flow kind of like in the spring, like you just talked about.
Yeah.
That kind of got all turned around during the pandemic, because we didn't know. It was like, I think during the pandemic we were still like cranking during the winter, we didn't have that seasonal decline that we usually experience. But now it looks like, according to this chart, the 49 average monthly price movement looks like every single year now we've had increases in volume, the increases in home prices, and it looks like we never really had a decrease in home prices. We just kind of had a slowdown in the increase, which is kind of tricky. And now it looks like we're starting to tick back up to our regular seasonal ebb and flow pattern that we kind of became accustomed to.
So what you go ahead.
In real estate, right? Exactly.
So what you're saying is tradition. So in the practical sense, traditionally, when school starts, like you see the slowdown. Like for that month of September, you see that slowdown because nobody wants to move to try to get things figured out for school. And then after everybody gets in school, October, you get like a kind of a bump, right? You get a little push because people want to get pre-approved, see homes under contract, settled before Thanksgiving.
Right.
But then after the Thanksgiving, you might have a small
that last week.
Oh yeah, we didn't get it before Thanksgiving. Let's see if we can get our Christmas present. We get that a little bit. But if it hasn't happened by the 15th of December, like we kind of waiting until
the beginning of the
February,
because then
Everybody
everybody
might as well
says
sign out.
Yeah. And you're right. I'm starting to see. I feel it a little bit, this year, because I think I was telling my wife, this almost feels like the most normal of normal years since COVID. Right?
Yeah.
People You don't see as many masks. You know, families are traveling, getting together, you know, for holidays and all the things. Like, it wasn't that way in 2020. It wasn't that way in 2021. Last year is kind of a mixed bag,
Yeah.
and now we're kind of like, oh. So I think life is whatever this new normal is. We're kind of back to whatever the normal is, and that also applies to real estate, you know, in our cycles. So, but it also has people like the rates aren't bothering people as much anymore because we know it is what it is. So when you ask me where the market's going, number one, I think the rates are going to continue to trickle down. If they do hit anything, if they hit, I'm already in the sixes in some programs.
Are you really?
Mm-hmm. But if conventional rates get to 6.7, 6.8, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's going to go back.
But it's going to be the 40 people lining up outside the house type of crazy because we don't have as many homes. But I also think that's when the refi will start to happen because people will say, well, I can also pay some points to, you know, because I bought a home at 7 or almost 8%, and I made 6 payments. So now let me go ahead and refinance because I can get a 6% or 6.25% or whatever.
I think it's going to be kind of tough too, though. I mean, I think there may be like I think everybody in the industry is like, when is it going to be back to like it was? But I don't think it's ever going to be like the way it was. Because also you have to think about jobs and affordability too, right? There's a lot of people that still aren't going to be jumping in line to buy the house at 6%, as you know, because it's just like they probably can't afford the house at that price and at that 6% interest rate.
Right.
So if it went to 2 and everything was dirt cheap, yeah, we had a whole bunch of people buying houses they probably couldn't have afforded in a normal market. But I think going back to a normal market, I don't think we're going to get a bunch of people who probably shouldn't be there because it's just going to be kind of like a normal market. And
what they said was if you want to bring like affordability back, from what I read, it was that what's it called? Salaries need to increase 60%. Rates need to go down to 3 to 4%. Right?
By 3 or 4%, or 2, 3 to
no, by 3 to 4%. Or what's it called? What's the next one? It's equity home prices need to come down 32%. For home affordability now.
You're talking about any of those categories?
Any of those categories any of those categories, right?
The jobs is tough though because if jobs,
no one's going to get you're not going to get 6% increase in your salary,
right?
Yeah,
not by 60%,
and
because that's just going to do the opposite of what they're trying to do, which is quell inflation. Because if everybody's making more money, they're going to spend more money, then inflation is going to shoot through the roof.
But then you also can't drop the rates from
that's going to push prices through the roof.
3 or 4%.
You can't do that now.
Yeah, because the prices will come back up and you have pandemonium.
Which is why I think they're just going to like just hold fast to where they are. It's an election year. Nobody's really trying. What they're trying to do on election years, I was talking to.
Well, they need to just keep rates at around 6 to 7%. And just let it float there for a couple of years. That's.
But it's an election year.
I'm not like an economic person, so I don't.
Neither am I. I do know that though. They want like during the election year, they want things to look really great. So they want gas to be cheap. They want interest rates to be low.
Here's a question for you guys. So it's like. Homes are going to millions of dollars now, right?
Yeah.
We do a lot of business in Florida. Everything's, you get a piece of home there for $1 million, right? Like, I'm like, I would never buy that home, right? So is that home worth $1 million, or is it like the Mexican peso? How much is the house in Mexico, right? How many pesos is that, right?
I mean, but the dollar is still like the reserve currency.
Yeah, it is. But I'm just saying, like, is that where it's going? Like, how much is a house? A couple million pesos.
Are you talking about the collapse of the dollar, John?
Yeah, I think. I mean, you got to put those two together, right?
They're intertwined.
You got to put those two together.
I mean, but you got to pay with whatever currency we're using. So,
well, I understand. Yeah, I get that, but I'm just saying, like, everything keeps shooting up. I don't know if that's really a good thing.
I mean, I think it is worth it. I think it's like, for example, gold, right? I like gold. It's my thing. So they say that the way to determine the value of gold is in every single year for the past like 1,000 years, 1 ounce of gold has bought you a really good suit. So however much
a suit
of really good suit.
So a suit that you wear.
Yeah, like a suit. Yeah, like that you wear. Okay. So they say that I think gold last time I looked was at 2,200 or something like that. An ounce. Right. Which is a really good suit. Like you can buy a really nice suit for about 2,200. So
Buy
that
an amazing suit for $2,200.
yeah, exactly. Like it's like
I wouldn't
really.
buy a suit for $2,000.
I wouldn't buy a suit for $2,200
Yeah.
either. But somebody who's got $50 million, you know, they got a whole closet full of $10,000 suits. Probably, I would assume. I ain't got it, but I'm saying that's just like a. It's
You
just
wear
the same. I do wear suits actually. I had a blazer on the other day. We went to Bo's Lake House. Did like a business meeting out there. His lake house is dope, by the way. But yeah, I haven't worn suits. I should have stepped my suit game back up.
I buy suits and then I never wear them.
I buy suits and then outgrow them. I can't get into most of mine.
Really? Yeah.
You wear suits when you go to church?
No, I dress
You got come as you are church?
for sure.
What?
I'm in.
You lucky, man.
I'm enjoy like sometimes
y'all new school religious.
sometimes
people.
I'm dressed just like this.
What? That's heretical where I come from.
Psst, they tripping.
You gotta wear a tuxedo in my.
No, you be dressed up on the outside and dirty on the inside.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
you gotta clean your vessel.
I was watching a video about pastors talking about like are tattoos good and what's the biblical consensus on tattoos and things like that, and it was really interesting conversation. There's so much about the outer appearance that and the heart can be wicked in the outer appearance, like people dress it up. So like, if you, that's a whole nother podcast.
But I mean, I think the package has something to say, though, right? Like,
I mean, listen. Like you can't come in there with these little shorts that these boys wear nowadays, or women, modestly dressed. Like you can't come in with the cleavage. And
I'm always interested
like
about that modesty thing, though, because it's like
there's levels.
Islam is way modest, bro.
Right.
Like,
but like there's also something that says that if it's a distraction visually,
to
you. To whoever's looking at it. Like if
It's God's challenge to you.
Right.
He was put there to challenge you guys.
I'm saying stay focused. I'm just saying like
Stay focused.
do I look or do I not look?
yeah, you don't look. But I'm saying like
Temptation.
What if she walks right in front of you? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, how would you know? You have to look at least once to know not to look.
there's a difference between what you see and what you look at.
Oh,
So yeah. Where you going?
I see that. That makes sense. So don't look, but see.
Keep it. You can't help when somebody walk past you. Like if a bird flew past you, like, and I saw it, like
I saw the bird. I just wanted to take a look at its wings.
So
identify what kind of bird. What you're a bird watcher. You got
double taking and gawking and turning your head like nah.
Got it.
You understand? Yeah, like nah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we off on something else.
Well, speaking of which, veteran homebuyers.
That segue was not segueing.
Help is on the way for veteran homebuyers who are looking
Keep
for
working on the segues for
that was. What would you rate that? Like on a scale
that
of
was a C minus.
like a 3?
Yeah, out of 10.
Well, I was saying on a scale of like A, B, C, D, or
C minus. So C minus.
C?
Yeah, C minus, D.
Sorry.
I'll take it. Okay.
Yeah.
But
I can still graduate with it though.
cheap seats is all right. That C minus.
I got all C's in high school, bro.
Did you really?
That's only because you didn't pay. It ain't because you wasn't smart.
It's because I wasn't interested in anything they were talking about.
Yeah, you were probably talking too much, and then you weren't paying attention.
Definitely.
Class clown.
Definitely.
Attendance wasn't probably a thing. You probably liked going to school for the.
I had to go to. I had no
yeah,
choice.
your mama wasn't playing.
What about you? You went to school? High
Yeah.
school? You did good in high school?
No.
Yeah, I
What was your grade point? What was your GPA?
Probably a C or less.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, horrible.
And look at us. We're all freaking winners right now.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
What's your
The
GPA?
school system's horrible. I believe the school system's horrible, especially for males. And there's a lot of studies on that. School.
What do you know about
school is really, really bad.
Just the whole thing. The whole thing.
Like what aspect?
The way that so like my son's autistic, and so I take him to a doctor, and we're talking about the school systems, and he was saying how like the school system is designed for a kid. When you're 6, 7, you go to school, you sit there for a couple of hours, 8 hours to learn. And he's like, most kids can't handle that kind of pressure, right? Just sit there and learn. And then some kids can. And obviously, you got to have schooling, you got to have education. But then what happens to the kids like, hey, I didn't do, like you or me, we didn't do really well in school. I have ADHD, right? So it's hard for me just to sit there, concentrate, read for 8 hours, and then retain all that information.
Yeah, no.
It's not really good, right? And then what happens to the kids that what does that do to your confidence, right?
Mhm.
And then what does that make you, right? And then kind of leads you down a path. And it's not really designed meant for, someone that, unless you can learn for 8 hours, it's not really designed and meant for success. In my opinion, yeah.
And there's the that sitting there for 7 hours, whatever it might be, in that 20 minutes, 30 minutes of lunch break, and then maybe you get 20 minutes exercise, resets or whatever. That I'm not an advocate of that, but I can see the difference between private school and public school.
Yeah.
My daughter goes to private school, and same thing with them, but the classes are smaller, so there's an advantage there. The thing that I don't like is that so much. I wasn't an advocate of homework anyway.
Yeah.
But like she's sitting there, she's locked in, she's doing school, whatever, and then like we got projects every month. We got all these things like every single week. We've got this to memorize and that to do, and I'm like, this girl can't be a kid, right? And then she's working. She legit at 7 years old is working. She has a job. Like just like me, like you shouldn't have that type of responsibility in the job, right? But I will say this: in public school, all the people and parents that we talk to in the public school system, when they're talking about test projects, they're like, our kids don't have nothing, do none of that.
In public school?
Correct.
Oh.
And our school system is public school system is pretty good around there. And I'm like, y'all don't have that, and my daughter has this. So what I asked the principal was, and some of the educators, I said, when your kids leave this private school and they end up going to public school in like 3rd or 4th grade or whatever, most of them end up in like the GT classes or the advanced class? She said there's like 70% of the kids go right into that because they hit the ground running and they're already ahead of these other kids. Because kids in public school don't.
See, I think a lot of that has to do, like, I think we've talked about this before. I've talked about it, but I think a lot of it has to do with they put us on these particular tracks like early, particularly black boys, particularly boys in general, and then they separate all the girls and they separate us all by these behavior labels that they put on us, and then they march you down this track. They group you all together. They say you guys are you're the mediocre learner. In my school, they used to call it comprehensive, and they would call it magnet, which is like the middle, and then they had like the science and tech, and those were like the smart people, right? And the smart people were told that they were the smart people, and they got shoved off into this other like high elite, class with way fewer students per teacher, so they got way more attention. Right? And most of them were girls,
which it should be the opposite.
And I mean,
classes, more teachers in the room.
It should be, and I think a lot of that has to do with the resources of the school.
My beef with like the school system is like everything's great for like the smart kid, right? If you're able to sit, learn, retain, right? Sit, study, retain. Okay, you're gonna make it in school, right? And that's like the success in school, right? What does that do to the kid that isn't that? You know what I mean? Like, let's say you're like, hey, I don't like to sit for, like, that was me. I couldn't sit for 8 hours and study. And like, I'm not, right? But then, so I became like, I'm not doing it, right? That's what I became. Like in high school, middle school, I was like, I'm not doing this shit, right? Because I thought I wasn't good at it, and I wasn't. But then, I'm lucky enough that I went out and started my own business, did what I did. But it's like, what about the kids that didn't do that? You know what I mean? Like, what about those kids? And it's like, all through, elementary school, middle school, high school, you were like you were kind of labeled the loser. And it's like, you're not a loser. You just aren't designed to sit and study.
You're different.
Yeah, you're just not designed to sit and study and what's it called? Fine, maybe you mechanic, maybe whatever it is, or you can start your own business, like me. Right. But it's like, but that all those years of just killing your confidence, you know what I mean? It designs a loser.
And you're not rubbing off on me, and y'all know I'm not a conspiracy theorist, right? Yep. But what you just said was things are designed for the gifted and talented, the smarter kids, if you want to call them whatever, right? So if you compare that to the more wealthy class, right? And then what about the kids that learn differently or can't sit still?
Yeah.
You maybe compare them to the middle class or the lower class, right? And what I think, I'm like, what you just said gave me a picture of school conditioning us to what the real world looks like, where things are set up for the higher echelon or higher income brackets of our society, but then you have your brackets or your middle brackets that are all the programs or all the tougher life, so to speak. And then there's all these labels that are thrown on you and thrown on you. People that are up here, the Rockefellers and whoever, they're just the elite. They got this one label.
Now,
Right.
here's what I will say
You
about
see,
that. Couple,
you see what I'm saying?
You're exactly right. I think one, A students work for C students, invariably, right? Most of the well, variably, but like
A students work for C students.
many times A students work for C students. He's got a bunch of smart people working for him. He's a C student. I got a bunch of smart people working for me. I'm a C student, right? And I think that schools teach. So I was looking up the different learning styles. Typically, most of your public education or just like your education curriculum in general teach to one learning style. So when they label you smart or talented or gifted, it's because you fit into this particular learning style and they call that smart. For example, you've got visual learners, you've got auditory learners, you've got physical learners who are kinesthetic, they need to touch it.
Yeah.
I'm more of a physical learner. You've got
Same.
verbal, some people who can just, I learn more just by conversation.
Yeah, I do too.
But that's shut down in school because you're not allowed to talk. You're not allowed to work together. So they'll think that they're not teaching to your natural intelligence. They're not teaching to my intelligence. They're teaching to people there's logical intelligence, there's social intelligence, there's a lot of social intelligence. A lot of the A students don't have high social intelligence because they're just bookworms. And then you have solitary intelligence. So the schools teach you a lot of solitary. They teach to a lot of the visual because you write on the board. Like my brother, he was the same way. He got all these degrees and he was socially unintelligent. And he couldn't figure it out in life, but he had a whole bunch of degrees. And so I was able to move a little bit different than him because even though I wasn't, and the other thing, well, even though I wasn't like high on the, I would say educational intelligent type scale, I was very socially intelligent, so I can read people very well. And I think the thing is when we get tracked into these labels and we say, okay, you're talented and gifted. And then you think that for your whole life, and then you act on that because you feel like, oh, I'm super intelligent.
Correct. Yeah.
One of the ways that actually goes wrong though is when you're telling a kid, yo, you're super smart, you're super talented, you're talented and gifted. It actually sometimes the reason why C students usually employ A students is because the A student feels like they're supposed to be smart. Right? The C student, we're kind of like, all right, cool. I got a C, I got through good, right? But we haven't tied our identity to being smart. And the challenge with that is these talented and gifted so-called smart kids don't tend to push themselves into areas where they feel they won't be smart. Because they tie their identity to being the smart person. So if they see something that's kind of hard that maybe they feel like they won't, then they don't go in that area. They kind of stay in their lane. Whereas C students, like I've been told, I'm just like, all right, I'll try it because if I fail, who cares? It doesn't attack my sense of self-identity to fail. But a lot of smart people, when they're labeled that young as, and here's the thing, if you're supposedly gifted or talented and gifted, what did you do to earn that? Absolutely nothing. You just woke up.
That's the SOL test.
You're supposedly
or
gifted.
They call it.
But they know that they didn't earn that. So
what about kids from Harvard and stuff?
Well, I mean, I'm not. Look, I think
those are always go on to be very successful.
They do. They tend to plug in. They tend to plug into. They come. Well, sometimes they come from money, but I think they tend to plug into jobs that are naturally designed for their, like law, like things that are very like structured.
But you're talking about how they end up at Harvard?
Well, no, it's like. I don't know if like, hey, if you're an A student, you usually aren't as successful financially.
How experimental, like for example, I mean, I'm sure you've seen like the Harvard student that like they put so much pressure on themselves to like, pass the test or get into this school or to get this particular grade because they have to hold up that identity of being smart, right? And their whole family kind of pushes them into this track.
My thought on this would be like, it's more like, hey, the confidence that breeds. So like, if you said. Like, I personally believe, like, hey, the people that do really well in school probably are going to be more successful in life. Why? Right? It's probably true. Like, if you
My brother wasn't.
Okay.
I thought that in high school.
Well, I think, I did too. And I think most people that go off to be successful in high school and then college usually end up being pretty successful. And there's always somebody that, didn't graduate high school and becomes the billionaire or something. That's fine. But I think majority of people that go through college and high school successful are going to be pretty successful or at least normal lives, right? People that around and did everything probably aren't going to do that either, right?
The D students.
The D students, not the C students. Not like us. Right? But I think what's it called? The problem is that what that breeds, right? That's really the question. It's not about what you did, it's about what it breeds and creates. So if you said, hey, if you're the D student because you have a harder time learning, maybe you have a harder time sitting still, what does that create in that person? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hey, maybe, like when I was in middle school, I had a really bad ADHD. And I thought, man, I can't learn. I started going down a path of, maybe I'm just going to be a loser kind of thing, right? Because I was doing really bad. And then in high school, I got more confident. And I realized, it's not about that. But it's like, I remember there's other kids, they went down that path and they never got out of that path. Yeah, they never got out of that path. And I think a lot of people that, end up becoming what we call losers go down that path. And they never make that turn back.
But I think it's about what you said, which is confidence, right? I think like and a lot of it has to do
confidence if you're
it has to do with who's raising you too, right? Because if
your school raises you,
well, I'm talking about, but if you have but your ultimate raisers are going to be your parents, right? If your parents are saying, "Hey, you're getting C's in school," and again, the school system only teaches to one type of intelligence. If you're saying, "Hey, man, you're getting C's in school. Let's go over here. Let's do this. Let's go chop some wood. Let's go play some baseball. Let's go find some other talents that you can anchor some confidence to." I think that's also a big booster. Well, that's
true too, because like my dad, he was a real estate appraiser, and now when I wasn't doing well in school, he would always say, "Hey, I didn't do well in school either, and I'm doing pretty good." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." Okay, cool.
Right? Like bingo. You're like, okay. Your dad recognized that, like, yo.
He's like, "Hey, I didn't do well in school, John. What's it called either? It's called I had a hard problem." Yeah.
It's like, yeah, your dad was pretty average in school too. You'd probably be just like, about average. I was like, all right, cool,
average,
But I think that exactly like you said. I mean, I think it can work both ways. Like if you have a upbringing where your parents say you have to make all A's, you have to get into Harvard, you have to become a doctor, or you're a loser.
But if you do that, and
all our family are doctors,
that breeds success.
Yeah,
it can breed some external success. I think not all the time. I think sometimes if you put too much pressure to be academically what we would call smart, as opposed to having a school that could say, let's see where what you naturally are smart at. How can we teach you according to your learning style?
Yeah.
Not, you have to fit into this learning style, otherwise you're stupid.
The problem is with the mass, and this is where I don't think it's like a conspiracy theory. I just think it's hey, if you were in charge of the entire school system for America and there's millions and millions of kids, okay, well, we can't have millions and millions of teachers for every kid.
Right.
So, hey, there's going to be some failures in this, and everyone's going to be somewhat educated, but that's about it,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think that there's just, and that goes back to like the resources thing. You okay?
Are you okay?
I'm good now.
Yeah.
Are you guys like chatting each other?
No. I'll tell you when I smoke cigars, it's just like, hey,
let me tell you something. This is my boy, and we've gotten very comfortable with each other over the last couple of years. But I would say this: there's a lady.
Nah, I farted. That's why he was looking at me.
Oh, you farted?
I always, if I'm smoking a cigar, I'm just fart. Like
cigars and coffee will make you fart.
You feel me?
On camera,
better out than in.
But we're live,
but not on microphone.
Hey, listen,
that's on microphone now.
That's a good microphone because it might have picked it up.
Maybe.
But like, the thing was, he leaned so far towards me, and I was like,
the lean gives it away because I always want to.
I thought he was checking the camera for some reason.
I was checking the camera,
but then it was like, everybody knows that when you cock it. But anyway,
and this episode is sponsored by Gas Act.
But we're so off topic. But the let me tell you about what these veterans going to get some help with. Right, they may not have done good in school. And they may have found that the military was the best thing for them. But when they got into the military, I used to work at Navy Federal, working with a lot of veterans. Sometimes, you're out to sea or you're being deployed or whatever, and maybe things don't go the way you need them to at home. So you can't make your mortgage payment. So you might go into foreclosure or start that process. Most people don't know that the foreclosure process starts when you hit 91 days late on your mortgage.
Yeah.
Right. And even that doesn't mean that they come get the house right away. There's a process for that. Sometimes the foreclosure process can take 9 months, but The Department of VA has asked mortgage servicers to halt any foreclosure proceedings through May of 2024. So this 6-month pause is going to give the government some time to roll out a new program. The White House announced this program back in October. That floated so far beneath the radar because I didn't know about it, and I don't know that anybody else in my circle ever said anything about it.
Real Estate Wire Squad knows about it now.
We know now. So if you're a veteran and you're behind on your mortgage payment, the help is on the way, right? Or if you know a veteran and they might be struggling for one reason or another, and there's many reasons why you can't, health or finances or whatever it might be. If you're behind on your mortgage payment and you don't qualify for a traditional modification or some sort of help, right, with your existing mortgage company, the White House has said that we're going to put a plan in action to help you all keep your home, right? It's a fact that when you get the money from a lender, that lender is not in the business of trying to take that.
They don't want to own real estate.
We don't want that. The lender. We don't want that inventory, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, through all the way through May of 2024. If you're late right now, just hold on. Reach out to me. I'll track down information for you, get you some information. The program is called VASP, so Virginia, the VA Servicing Purchase Program. So, and that's if you don't qualify for your traditional help that your mortgage company might offer. So go through your existing mortgage company to see what type of help they can get or give you. Go through that quick process. If they can't help, then this program is here and available for you.
I'm surprised the White House is actually doing something to help people.
I mean,
amazing. Alternative events.
I mean,
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, appreciate that.
So let's get into the DMV real estate update market report.
Yes, sir.
I change the name every week.
Every single week.
I haven't figured out what name works. DMV. So this time we'll do the DC, Maryland, and Virginia real estate update.
Okay.
What do you think about that one? Pretty good.
I like it.
You like it? Thanks, John.
We gotta figure out something else.
Haters gonna hate.
You guys aren't really prepared when you're
No,
figuring out names.
What's our slogan, Coach?
Build as we fly.
We build as we fly.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
We've been building as we fly for almost 49 episodes.
But we've been flying though.
Oh no, we're up in the air.
Yeah,
bro.
we're not at 30,000.
If you're watching on the YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Hit the notifications button so you're the first to know when we drop new content. What do you think of these sweats?
I was getting ready to compliment on you actively black.
Were you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, these are actively black sweatpants. That right now they got actually a Black Friday sale, 50% off. So if you're looking for some cool sweats, click the link in my bio. I'm an affiliate, and you'll get an additional 25% off if you use the link in the bio.
Are you really affiliate?
Yeah.
How'd you get that?
They just reached out to me because I bought all their clothes, and they were like, "Yo, we like your stuff. Da da da. You want to be an affiliate?" I was like, "Say less, King."
So you said
How many followers do you have on Instagram? Sorry.
How many followers I got on Instagram?
Yeah.
I don't got that many followers. I got like 2,500 or something.
Wow, and they gave you an affiliate program?
Yeah.
Liar.
Okay, so let this show begin.
Nobody. So why you got this?
No, he ain't saying I'm a somebody. I am.
Black
What was that,
Friday
Jesse
sale,
Jackson?
50% off?
I am somebody. Huh?
Jesse Jackson. Yeah. You said 50% off?
50% off Black Friday sale, but then
And
you
then
get
another-
a 25% off if you use
Do they
my
carry
affiliate
tall?
code.
And
Huh?
Do they have tall size?
Probably not, bro. They just got regular people like me.
An additional 25% off of the 50%.
But all their sizes are super big though. Pause. So like for me, their mediums like swim on me because it's like I guess black people wear their clothes baggier type thing. So this is small.
Is it like a black
I mean,
clothing line?
black owned company?
yeah, it's black owned company.
like that.
Most of the stuff says black on it. So, but you can rock it though. Like
Yeah, I like it. I would wear it.
support. Yeah, rock it. I mean, it's the thing I like is like it's like mad comfortable. It's got like a little elastic. You know what I'm saying? So if I pick up a little weight, ain't no big deal. Can have my little Buddha belly.
You continue to pick up weight? That's what you said?
If I continue to pick,
Have you gained weight?
Dude, I've been the same weight since like, well, after the pandemic, I maxed out at like 170. I know you weren't 170 till I was in 12th grade, but anyway, Dude, I was 170
You
in
read my
7th grade, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, I was 170 when I was in 5th grade, bro. All right. Anyway, yes, I have a small frame.
Yeah, I have a small brain.
I think everybody knows that by now. I'm the little. I was when you remember they used to line everybody up by height.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
always- he was always on
Everybody
end.
knew where I went. They're like, Dan. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I know where to go. Y'all figure it out. The rest of y'all jerks, average height jerks.
On sports pictures, you were in the front row.
I was in the front.
Legs folded.
No, I was. They would make me squat down. I'm like, why y'all making me squat down? Yeah, you know how they make everybody sit Indian style. That was
They're
it.
holding you up.
I was like the mascot. I would stand on people's shoulders.
Yeah.
It was a good time in high school.
Boy.
So anyway, and that was last week too. But
Hey, you were what?
no,
He was last pick.
no. Actually, I used to get picked first a lot though because
You were fast.
I've always been very athletic. I come from a very athletic line. I wasn't good at basketball though. Football, baseball,
But
table tennis.
Want to hear a funny story? So,
those dudes was hit.
so right out of
I
high
hate-
school, one of my old friends of mine, this guy Travis, became a basketball coach, and so he was like, "Hey, do you want to come coach with us?" Right? And we're like, it was for credit, right? Actually, it was in high school, so you were getting our credits. So we were horrible, right?
Who are you coaching?
Like the YMCA or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Bunch of 70-year-olds.
Yeah, so we get to pick our team, and he picked the team, right? So how you pick your team is by their shirt size, right? That's how you get to pick their team, then, right?
Out of shirt size.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. So they go pick your team, you get by shirt size. So he picked everyone that had a big shirt size,
Oh.
right? so we show up like the first or second day of practice. And then we thought everyone was going to be the big kids, tall, athletic. That's what you think, right? It's everyone that's out of shape, right? Everyone that's like overweight, out of shape. we didn't win one game, right?
Yeah.
We didn't win one game. The whole time we thought everyone doing suicides
Wow.
because no one could run up and down
Nope.
the court.
Bro.
I was like, man, we should have picked some small.
Yeah. See, another win for the short
Yeah.
people. All right. Thanks God for making me short. Shorter. I'm
Deep.
taller than my wife, and I'm taller than my mom, and I'm taller than my kid. But
You
right now,
right.
dude, my kid's half my height already. He's
Right.
2. Yeah, he comes up to my waist. That's a thing, right?
Yeah.
Thing. That's like an indicator he's gonna be. His grandfather was tall,
Oh.
obviously on his mother's
Oh,
side,
oh.
whom he takes after more than me.
He looked like he just
He's tall, man. He's tall,
How you like the cigar?
dude. It's it's a burner, bro. It's
Yeah.
like it's a really good slow. Like what's this? Like maybe like an hour and a half cigar.
Yeah.
So in the DMV, we've got new listings down for the month of October, down 20% from this time last year. New pendings down
Wow.
7% from this time last year. Closed sales down 12% from this time last year. New listings are down 4% from this time last month. They're down 1% from this time last month. New pendings are down 1%, and closed sales are down 3% from this time last month. Overall, the median sold price is up 2.9% from this time last year, and the median sold price is up 1.5% from this time last month. So the big picture, less listings, less closings, increased sales price, which makes sense.
Yeah, it's supply and demand.
It's basic supply and demand. So we were talking, I think, a couple podcasts ago about, crash. I think we were talking to Carlo about crash. I think that's kind of like on the collective consciousness of everybody's mind. If they're thinking about real estate, is there going to be a crash? I saw a video of a guy that I follow, and he asked a really good question. He said, what happens if you own a house, you buy a house, because this is probably most people's fear, and you probably heard the same thing because you're in the biz, John. What happens if you buy a house and then real estate values plummet?
You owe the mortgage. Doesn't matter.
The thing is,
You still owe the mortgage.
yeah, your terms don't change. I mean, if you got a 30-year fixed or whatever, like whatever you're paying, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's also what attributed to the crash 15 years ago is because when the values dropped, people were like, I mean, their mortgage payment was what it was, and in their mind they were like, well, it's not worth what I owe on it, so I'm gonna stop paying on it. And some of the payments may have changed, but if you're on a 30-year fix or if you're in a really solid loan, there are a lot of people that went in the short that did a short sale not because they couldn't afford it or did a loan modification, not because they couldn't afford it, but because everybody else was like, or the people that really needed the help and they said, hey, I can't afford this house, or whatever, or the house upside down. Okay, so the other people will say, well, let's go ahead and let me go ahead and do a modification. If I can't do a modification, let me just go ahead and do a short sale. Like, but that you never really needed one, right? There was a lot of people that never really needed it, but they took advantage of what was available in some of these programs because housing values were upside down. And that'll never happen again because of the regulation, because of the qualification methods that we use now. We've learned a lot of good things. So, but in terms of, I want to share some about last year, speaking of like the DMV report and values being, prices being up or down. This time last year, a 30-year fixed mortgage was at 6.97, right? Somewhere between 6.9 and 7.3. And FHA was right around the same 6.9 and 7.3. This right now, I priced out a loan, an FHA loan, 6.5, right? Or a conventional loan right at about 6.9, right? So now I can't speak for every broker. I'm sorry, every lender. I know me. Like what I'm offering, because everybody's charging somewhere between a half of a point and maybe a point. But for that same half of a point or a point, those rates that I just said, 6.5 to 7%, like we're lower now than where we were last year. I'm at least lower. So again, retail lenders might be. What was the guys here? What's the guy's name that was here 2 weeks ago? Yeah. He's in the retail space that I came from. His rates might be higher, right? Because of the retail space.
Yeah.
The broker, when you eliminate all the margin, you could get lower than where we were last year and lower than where the market is. So
you're at 6%.
No, like 6.5.
6.5. Wow.
6.5 on FHA and like maybe 6.9, 7% on a conventional. And that's only with what I put in a 660 credit score.
Wow.
You don't have to have a really good credit to be able to get a really good rate right now.
You should market that, man.
I just did. I'm going to. You should go ahead and bounce that on your CLA page.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So that's a good question. Changing directions a little bit. For people in the cheap seats, which most of our people are in the cheap seats with me.
With us, apparently, because...
No, you done stepped your game up. You got the Pandas on? Those Pandas?
No, he's got Pandas on. These are Jordans.
Oh, my fault, cuz. You got the Pandas on.
But he's a C-student. He's a C-student. Yeah, those are the Pandas.
Are they?
Panda Dunk.
Okay, yeah.
What size shoe you wear, John?
These are 13, but they feel a little... I usually wear a 13, 14, but these are a little small to me.
Nike always runs small.
Yeah, but I usually get Nikes that are 13, but I don't know why. I'm going to get some custom ones made.
But you got some thicker socks on too, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I get custom shoes for CLA stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I have a guy, Dez, who creates...
What I got to do to get a custom shoe, bro?
Dez Customs does yours?
Yeah, you know Dez?
No. I don't know him, but I...
Yeah, he did my office. He did. He painted our whole office.
What I got to do to get a custom shoe?
Are you asking like if I'll pay for it, or are you asking
how many deals I got to close so I can get a Dan Wheels Us Home custom shoe?
Just so we're clear, guys, CLA Title does not violate any rest issues. So Dan sending any business is not going to.
We're not any rest violations here.
We'll talk about it offline, but I do have a question. So for people in the GC, what's the difference between
we'll
title
that part
companies?
out.
Yeah. What's the difference between title companies? If I'm a buyer and I want to buy a house, most of the time my real estate agent is just going to put me with a title company. I don't know the difference between title companies because I'm just want the house, right? I'm a buyer.
Yeah.
What should the buyer know about title companies from you, from a title company, obviously owner?
So the most honest answer about this is there's not much of a difference. Okay. So we issue title insurance. We work with the lenders and real estate agents to prepare the numbers, and then we handle the closing and the recording of that, the transfer of the property. The big difference, though, really is about the professionalism of the companies, in handling it. So when you work with, if we work well together, you can contact me, my team that supports our company, how professional they are, how they handle things. That really where it comes down to the difference. Yeah.
That's
very honest. Yeah, it's a very honest answer.
You all do the same thing overall, but they're not created equal. Just like realtors. I mean,
it's everybody. It's like, hey, it's not. Everyone does the same thing.
So what is title?
What is title? Mm-hmm. What do you mean?
Like, I'm a buyer. I don't know anything about it, and now all of a sudden you guys are telling me I need title for a house.
So title insurance or title?
Yeah, both. Title and then title insurance. I know what it is, but I'm saying like for a buyer who doesn't.
So what we do is, so we'll pull a title search, and we'll make sure that there's no liens on the properties.
Mhm.
Basically, a job of a title company, I think that's your question, is that when you're buying a home, that the seller is legally allowed to sell you their home, right? And then when you do buy that home, you legally own that home.
Mhm.
That's the job of a title company. That's what we do.
What's a lien?
A lien is a thing that's placed on a home. What's it called? If let's say you owe me money or someone, you owe taxes, they'll put a lien on your proproperty.
Oh,
And then
okay.
that has to be paid off before
Mhm.
settlement.
Mhm.
So if I get a contractor to do some work on my house and I don't pay
Yeah,
him,
mechanics lien, yeah.
and they'll put a lien. Basically, if I sell the house, I got to pay that person first.
Yeah,
So the money that I would make goes to that person before it comes to me.
Right.
100%, yeah.
And so you guys basically make sure that there ain't none of that on the title.
And
before we go to closing.
we'll make
Clear
well,
title.
not make sure there's nothing on it. We'll make sure that we understand that there is something on it or there isn't,
Uh-huh.
and then handle that as
Mhm.
needed. And if we don't do that, that's when title insurance comes in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if you don't do that, title insurance comes in. What does that mean?
That means, so basically when someone buys a title insurance, they're basically guaranteed that the transfer of the property is theirs now. And it's free and clear title.
Okay, so somebody could come back and be like, "You sold my great aunt Susie house,"
You could do that, yeah.
but then the buyer will be like, "Well, I got title insurance."
Yeah.
So then what do they do at that point? So
Title
they get a
insurance
claim.
would basically come in, and so the underwriter, so we get title insurance through the underwriters, and they would just pay out for the mistake.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, so you wouldn't have to like leave your house because somebody's saying that they owned it 10 years ago and never, like my
No.
grandma owned it, and
No,
why did
no,
y'all
no,
sell the
no,
house?
no, it
Okay.
doesn't work that way, yeah.
So you call it title insurance company, you can just say, "Dude, I got title insurance," so you just handle it with the title insurance company.
Yeah, so you'd put a claim in with the title insurance. Usually what they do is they'll contact us,
Mm.
and then we'll put it in with the title insurance company. Or vice versa, either way.
Right. Do you run into that a lot?
I don't.
You run into that a lot, like claims?
Not a lot. We do a lot of volume, so we've had claims, but not like that, no.
I want to ask you though, because you're excellent in the probate space, and it can get really really dicey. In that, do you run into that?
I run into a dope title company.
If
Right.
you run into it,
Now,
you
here's
run
the
into
thing.
it.
A lot of times, my when I'm doing the selling side, the listing side, I don't get control of the title company
Right.
unless it's like a really
Yeah.
funky issue, and I'm like, I need to send it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So yeah, but any title company, like he said, is if they're worth their salt, they're going to do a title search, which is basically you look and see who owned it.
Yeah.
They call it chain of title, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you just check the chain of title
Yeah.
to see, some name. I've had those issues where it's like, who's George Jefferson?
Yeah, well, the person who
Yeah.
also owns the property, maybe, right? Yeah.
Right. Like
I got
grandma
it.
moved out and her uncle and her brother, they owned it jointly. Uncle passed away first. Grandma kept it. Nobody did the changing of the deed or anything. 3 generations later, grandma passes away, and now the aunts and the little the grandkids want to sell the house. Well, cousin Joe been living in the house for the past 20 years. Cousin Joe got a mental disorder. He can't even tell you what's going on with the property.
Yeah.
And so that's when the title company comes in and says,
Yeah.
okay, George Jefferson owned it. Wheezy Jefferson also had her name on there. We see the death certificate for Wheezy, but we need a death certificate for George Jefferson.
Yeah.
Yeah. That stuff gets super complicated. I have a scenario I need to talk about with you all offline that is like it's a burning issue, like with family members, and grandfather passed it on to the grandson, and
Usually in that kind of stuff, I can put you in one of my attorneys.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, because
That's cool.
I kind of
Whoever-
stay out of that stuff.
Yeah, John's
This is a little complicated. I'm like, yeah.
he'll put you in the right direction.
My
though.
ADHD
That's
will
all I-
kick in.
that's all I-
Yeah.
Give me
Like,
a break.
what?
Give me a break from, and I'll go.
Yeah, he'll put you in the right direction. Let's get
I'll
to
dual contact too.
the real estate, hot or not. Are we doing dad jokes or hot or not?
We actually do. Would you rather?
Okay. Okay.
I had
Just so we're clear, guys, they have dad jokes, and I wasn't prepared for this. So.
I was not prepared either. I just pulled up
I
dad
don't have a
jokes.
computer.
Want to hear that? You got a phone. All right, you want to hear that?
You a C student? Don't make me do it.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You get a curve. You get a curve. But,
R.I.P. Boiling water. You will be missed.
I was like, "What are you doing?"
That's my dad.
But there's your dad joke. I had one.
You like that?
No, I didn't like that.
All right, let's do that.
I ain't gonna do it. We'll say that for next week.
All right.
All right, so I got 3 would you rather. John, would you rather never get a cold again or never be stuck in traffic ever again?
Never be stuck in traffic. 100%.
Both.
Colds aren't that bad.
I'd rather never get a cold again.
What?
Yeah,
Have you
man.
ever been stuck in traffic?
Yeah, I'm fine. I throw an audiobook on.
Nah, son, I can't
Nah.
do it. Traffic,
Okay.
I can't.
I drive a
Like-
stick shift too. I don't care.
Stuck in traffic is you sitting like
You know what I do when I'm
like
stuck in traffic?
Snowmageddon stuck like you.
No, I have a stick shift. So all I do, and everybody hates me for it, and I don't care. So if you ever driven behind a Z3 on the Beltway, I'm that guy. I just put it in second gear, and I just like coast.
You just coast.
I just coast. I don't speed up. I don't
Why
slow
they hit you
down.
for that?
Because there's usually like a big, huge gap between me and the car in front of me.
Oh, you're that guy. Oh, you're that guy. Okay.
Oh, screw you.
Okay.
I'm not changing gears for you bastards.
Okay,
Go around me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is specific to the guests and the host. Would you rather be tall and average looking?
That's John.
Would you rather be tall and average looking or 3 feet tall but beautiful?
Well, I'm tall and beautiful, so I have a hard time answering these questions.
I saw this when I was like, oh, I got to ask this one.
Tall and average.
Or 3 feet tall but
Tall
beautiful.
and average. I mean, you're
Yeah.
3 feet tall. It's not.
I'll take the 3 feet.
I guess you
3
would.
feet? Because I got game. It don't matter. I
Nah,
got
man,
game.
you're
No,
gonna
no,
you're
no,
gonna
no,
like- you're
no,
like a
game is
weirdo.
amazing. Nah,
No,
they going
you-
I can still pull them.
I'd be.
Nah,
Yeah,
could
be
you're not
tall.
pulling anything.
I have like a whole like roster of like 5 or 6 models
Yeah,
in my arm.
Yeah,
nah,
nah,
I'd be
nah.
like,
Tall
how'd
and
you get
average.
that gag girl? My game
Now-
is tight.
now, the
My
tall-
game is tight.
Tell him, ask him about the theory about the height, the tall.
Oh,
because
my
that-
height theory. So I have a
Yeah.
height theory. I'm a conspiracy theory. He already knows I'm a conspiracy
Yeah.
theory. I love all the conspiracies. And they're not really conspiracy theories, just economic like realities.
Okay.
Let me hear some of your theories.
Conspiracy
Oh, nah,
theory? Yeah.
we can't.
theories?
That is a rabbit hole.
Well, we can
No,
go a little bit down the
just,
rabbit hole.
just the
A
height.
little,
One.
just
Just
a
the
tip.
height one.
All right, just a tip. All right. So,
You stupid. Just the height. I'm gonna find that.
that's not a conspiracy. The height isn't a conspiracy theory. So here's one conspiracy theory. Since John likes conspiracy theories too. He's a conspiracy theorist. He
I
wants
like
to-
them, but I'm not one.
Yeah,
So,
he's conspiracy theorist like.
Okay.
All right, so one of my conspiracy, which again, I'm not a flat earther, but I do understand how they could maybe question the heliocentric model, which basically a few things. One, it's kind of hard to believe that we landed on the moon when we barely have the technology to go back to the moon now. Like we just now developed like technology to go to the moon, and they did it when we had basically AM/FM radio. And
Well,
We
we
didn't
do
have
we
electric
do have the
cars.
technology to go back to the moon. We just don't choose to.
yeah, we do now, but did we have the same technology like
Yeah,
75 years ago?
yeah.
Okay, maybe, right. Also, in all the photos of Earth, we never see any of the satellites, right? We there's thousands and thousands of satellites. Freaking Elon Musk is launching a satellite a day, and we never see any of these on the pictures. Also, the Earth isn't the perfect sphere. Now, I do know that the change in degree of the spherical nature of the Earth is imperceptible.
So we're
on a
talking about
telescope.
flat Earth.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you can clearly see when you're in a plane that the Earth's not flat. You can see the.
Can you
Oh, yeah,
know?
Yeah, 100%. You can see it.
I mean, so again, I'm not a flat earther. I like the idea of it, and I think the other point that they make that
And you can see when the sun rises. You have how it comes up. I mean, you can see that.
I mean that can be explained just by like what they call density, where basically like our eyes can't see, but so far through depending on the density of the
But you
atmosphere.
can see that. So you can see the sun. Like right now, you can look out and see the sun, right?
So what they say is that the sun isn't going around in a sphere; it's just going like in a straight line.
Yeah, I don't really buy that. I mean,
I don't either.
there's pictures of
But
the
you
Earth.
don't see the sun like going around you like in a circle. You see it just kind of like going like
Yeah,
you see it going
no,
up, and then you see it like going down in a straight
yeah,
line.
because it gets blocked out through the Earth.
Yeah, or it could just be on the other side,
Tell me,
right?
John.
Because it's not that it's getting blocked out by the Earth.
It
on
is.
the heliocentric model, they're saying that we're on the other side of the Earth is spun, and now the sun is on the other side of where we were.
Mhm.
So it's not the sun that's like moving, because that's obviously an optical illusion, right? Sun's not moving. I mean, it is moving through the solar system, and then
No,
the Earth is spinning
the
around it.
moving. Yeah,
Well, the sun is moving too,
Yeah.
right? Ideally, in the heliocentric model, the sun is moving, but it's not moving like up and down. It just looks like that from our perspective
Yeah.
on Earth. So obviously, it's not just moving like the sun doesn't rise and set.
By the way, I was not prepared for any of these things.
He asked me about the conspiracy theory. So
What's another one? Like, give me a good one. Like
you believe in extraterrestrial?
aliens?
Well, aliens, sure. We're the aliens to some species, but yeah, sure.
No. To a certain degree, I do. So the way I look at aliens is, so Elon Musk once said, he doesn't believe there's aliens because he goes, if anyone would have seen them, he would have, right? As much as he's involved with like SpaceX. And then I go, okay, so if he hasn't seen them, I've never seen an alien, right? Why would I believe in aliens? Unless there's like the movie, and if you remove,
Yeah.
and if you remove, and like let's not bring like I know I always talk to people about this, and they bring in religion, but we still will exit that out. But and then if you remove like the movie part of everything, where would the aliens come from?
So I mean, I hear that. I think so. I'll answer that by saying this. All right, I've got a big, huge.
And then if you look at the United States, America, sorry, the world.
Yeah.
And if you compared us to, let's just say, other animals, right? Let's just say we're all animals, right? Let's use that theory, right? There's only one human, right?
So, well, there's that's not 100% accurate.
I told y'all about the rabbit hole.
Well,
it's not. I think right now there's only one human, right?
We are the dominant human species that
there's
survived.
only one human species. Right
there
now.
was a bunch of humanoid species that we kind of either bred out or we killed them, right? So to that point, on this planet, life has evolved. There was Homo sapien felinius, Homo sapien erectus, Homo sapien neanderthalis. There was a bunch of different humanoid species, and then the Homo sapien erectus that we are. We basically either bred out the Neanderthals or we killed them. There was a Homo sapien felinius that was in like Southern Africa. We either bred them out or killed them. So that actually, to me, is a microcosm of kind of what happens in the universe. So say, for example, like these woods back here. I got a bunch of woods, right? And in this woods, there's like a bunch of different species back there, right? One species that back there is an ant, right? So there's an ant somewhere back there that has no concept of Paris.
Well, so
like them, like to break down a concept like
so if you say that
traffic lights.
Would you consider an ant on Mars an alien?
No, I would say we are the ants of the universe. You see, for us, we would say, like, if I was sitting here and try to break down the concept of a traffic light to an ant, they're gonna be like, or if I try to break down,
but no one's ever seen these, but we've never seen these aliens.
Of course not. Here's why. Think about this for a second. The Earth is about
people that say they see them.
Well, that's the conspiracy theory, but the probability.
There's people that lie too.
There's people that lie about a bunch of stuff. They see tears coming from the Virgin Mary statue. Like, okay, maybe, right? Or it's just some priest in the back pumping fluid through through a statue. But the Earth is 4.3 billion years old, right? The human species.
But what would make you believe there's an alien without the movie aspect of it?
I'm explaining to you. Here's why. Because you have to understand just how, I think most of us don't really understand just how big even just our solar system is, right?
Correct.
So the Earth is 4.3 billion years old, right? Light travels at 226,000 miles per second.
Yeah.
So by the time it takes us to get to our closest solar system, it would take about 26,000 years or something.
Okay.
The light that we're seeing from stars right now takes billions of years to get here.
Yeah.
So by the time the light from our solar system gets to another solar system, let's say it took 4.3 billion years for the light.
So, interesting story. I'm not going to cut you off. I smoke with a guy.
You're going to cut him off.
I'm not going to try to cut you off. I'm going to cut you off, right?
That's what else we do.
I smoke with a guy.
He family.
Yeah, exactly.
I smoke with a guy. So he was a colonel in the military, and one of the things they worked on, I can't remember the technical name for it, but they tried to delay death and time. So they were going to send dogs or monkeys through space, and the time frame that it would take, you would die, right? Because you couldn't get there, right? And there's a technical term for this, and they started working on this where they would try
cryogenesis,
yeah, where they would delay your death by killing you, then bringing you back.
Yeah, the problem is with that is they still haven't figured out how to cryogenically preserve the cell.
Yeah.
So once they figure out how to cryogenically preserve the cell without it degrading, then the person on the other side of the cryogenesis will be able to revive those cells. But let's say, okay,
That's
it
what
takes
Ted Williams, the baseball player.
But let's say it takes 4.3 billion years for the light of our planet to reach another solar system that's 4.3
Yeah, it's
billion
big.
years.
It's big. Yeah,
So
it's
what I'm
very
saying
big.
is, if they looked in a telescope, they wouldn't see us as we are right now. They would see the Earth 4.3 billion years ago, and they would easily conclude there's no life on Earth, because it would take 4.3 billion years for this light today, me, you, him, to get to a solar system 4.3 billion years from now. So we can easily reverse that and say, well, a planet 4.3 billion years away from us, we're only getting the light from that planet as it existed 4.3 billion years ago.
Correct, yeah.
Life on this planet only started around 1 million years ago. So
1 million?
we've only had life on this planet, and well, yeah, let me finish that point. I'll say another one. 1 million years ago, right? So it would take that amount of time. It would take that amount of time for them to see us now, another 1 million years, for them to even be able to say, "Oh, there's life on Earth." So we could say the same thing about another planet because light takes so long for us to get here. The second point I'll say is life has been eradicated on this planet at least 2 times that we know of, but more times than that due to external events, meteors completely wiping out life on this planet. Now imagine a species or a society that lives on a planet where life wasn't wiped out 1 million years ago, and they're 1 million years more advanced than us. They never got wiped out, and they were able to advance their technology instead of getting completely wiped out through some Earth or planetary cataclysmic event, where they are highly advanced and they were able to continue to advance their society. And they're the same human species. Let's say humans just like is a natural evolutionary design of the universe. Let's just for purposes of this conversation. And they're just 1 million years more advanced. We're shooting rockets to Mars right now. Imagine a species 1 million years advanced. They could come here, zoom around, take a look, be like, they're an underdeveloped species. There's no purpose in us even having a conversation with them because we don't speak the same language. They don't even understand our concepts. It would be similar to us trying to go to a tribe in the Amazon and trying to explain a cell phone to them. They probably just like either kill us or not understand.
Yeah, so
You thought about this, huh?
It's just common knowledge.
It ain't common to me because I don't think about it.
Well, then yeah, I do think about it.
But let's break this down from like a logical standpoint, right? Like, if you said, "Hey," like you kind of just made up all that stuff, right?
Right, sure.
Yeah.
I deduced it through like reasoning, right?
It was like, hey, there could be a life species out there that says, "Hey, we don't want to go mess, but we're too smart for them," or we can't. Like maybe, yeah, I don't know that answer. But if you took all the logical things that are in front of you, like the Amazon, right? People actually go and try to go talk to people in the Amazon, and some of them get killed, right? Because they don't want to, the people in the Amazon kill them. So if you wanted to take like the logic part of what the theory you just said would be like, actually, we would go see them, right? So they should come see us if they could, because we go see the Amazon people, right? So that's the way I look at it, and it's like, so my perspective would be is there's nothing else out there.
Well, there's another theory to that, which is, let's say there's another species that's just as advanced as us, but they haven't mastered interplanetary travel yet. There's that possibility also.
Yeah, but the problem is like this conversation can go on for 10 years because you can say, imagine.
Well, this is the conversation that scientists are having right now. Like this is like an earthly conversation because the biggest question on Earth is, where do we come from, and is there other people out there?
So let me interject. This is a great segue to my last. Would you rather? Would you rather visit
B+?
Would you rather visit the International Space Station for a week, or spend a week in a hotel at the bottom of the ocean?
Bottom of the ocean. Hold on.
Bottom of the ocean.
Which ocean? Bottom of the ocean. The problem with me,
not the Antarctic or the Arctic Ocean, because that's not happening. I'm not doing either.
Does this ocean have lights at all?
There's no light at the bottom of the ocean. But there's light provided by the hotel.
To be honest, I don't have a lot of patience, so I'd rather do none. I mean, I feel like I'd be stuck in like a bubble. I feel like in space you'd be stuck here, and you'd look out and you're like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then a week later, you're like, it's the same shit.
Sucks.
Like an hour later, you're like, this kind of sucks.
You see like a flat Earth disc floating in the middle of space. You'd be like,
and then in the bottom of the sea, I would be like, oh, I can't see anything. This sucks.
Can't even see fish down there, bro.
But the hotel obviously is going to have light down there.
Oh, a hotel.
Is it a four?
Yeah.
Is it the Four Seasons hotel or is it?
Yeah, what kind of hotel is it?
Obviously, it's
like a
gonna be
Motel
it's gonna
6?
be like no, it's gonna be like the Wynn Hotel. It's gonna be
I only stay at the Four Seasons, so I'm just.
At the bottom of the ocean. Four Seasons might not be that bad.
Does it come with room service?
I'm sure it comes with everything you want.
You got food down there? Where do they get the food from?
I don't know, but I can tell you, I'm not doing it. I ain't messing with the water. Now, if y'all
I'll take the space station
on Netflix. Y'all ever seen the show called The 100?
No.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I saw like the first episode. It wasn't really entertaining to me.
Yeah, but it got really good.
Oh yeah,
a few seasons.
Maybe I'll plug back in.
I don't know the Titanic ship thing. Maybe no.
I can't see
the Titanic guy. They died.
I don't do the snorkeling.
Yeah.
I have no interest in scuba diving.
I did snorkeling one time.
Snorkeling's cool, man. I've been there, dude. That's scary, man. One time I went snorkeling, and one of these big stingrays came under me.
See,
that thing was like had to be as big as this.
That's what killed
no, this is the
crocodile.
Yeah, but this is one of the ones that aren't. They're not dangerous, but
they're all dangerous.
Manta rays. But it's probably big as this.
Oh yeah,
the shed that we're in, right?
Holy cow!
Yeah, they're big.
Oh, holy shit, dude!
I'd have peed my pants.
I was like,
that's why I said I'll mess around underwater. Like go in the water. That's their kingdom, their territory, right? But I do know.
So you'll go to space?
Yeah, I go to space because
you can fart in space.
Yeah, but think about this: space, you're in less control.
It'll be like in a little bubble, right?
In space, you're in less control. You can swim, right?
Yeah,
no,
I can.
Can you swim at all?
Just be truthful.
Okay, let me just
fulfill the stereotype.
I was gonna say that I'm white, so I don't know if I can, but I'm gonna say that.
I can't swim laps back.
Floating, boy. Y'all got a different.
I can't swim laps back and forth, but I can tread water for a little bit.
You can swim to save your life.
I can swim to save my life.
Yeah. So here's the thing: you have you ever floated?
Kinda.
Right?
Before you fell at the bottom of the water.
You can't breathe. You can't breathe in space.
No, but
that's right. When you watch the 100, you'll find out that in the space station you can
breathe in space for a couple minutes.
They got pressurized oxygen and all that. That's why I say I go. Only problem with me is like if something happens, like, and you just can't, like, you can't get back to Earth. That's the only thing.
You wouldn't be able to swim.
I'm definitely afraid
you wouldn't be able
of
to swim from the bottom of the ocean, bro.
Think about how bad it would be to be in space. Like you have to probably pee in a bag because your pee would just float everywhere, right?
I want to pee in a bag now. I'd be driving so much.
Don't ask for that.
That comes from my idea. You want to know my idea? Anybody listening on Real Estate Wire Squad, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this content with anybody think it's dope. So my idea is like it's kind of like comes from the hospitals. So like if you're driving, you can just hook up like a catheter. So if you're driving long distances, you don't have to pull over, man. And you save money. You save money on gas. You save money on
time. Ever had a catheter?
You can no. It's an external catheter.
Oh
yeah,
okay.
But you save like 10 to 15 minutes on your trip.
So it's a sleeve. I get it.
That's kind of so you're just gonna piss in a bag and put it in your car.
Yeah.
Great idea. Yeah.
I'm gonna jazz it up a little bit.
I'd rather pull over.
I'll put an X like at the end of the brand name to make it cool.
Pull over on the side of the road.
Pull over.
What do you guys think about this commission thing? Realistic.
I ain't tripping off of
which one? The
real
buyer's agent.
Yeah.
It's going.
You think there's another business out there for
that? Nah. I think there's another lawsuit if you do try and make a business out of it. I think that there's more lawsuits coming.
No, what I mean, like, hey, is the market going to change where this is a great opportunity for people like us to maybe start a different business that says, hey,
I'll help you get your commission.
Not help you get your commission, but help. Hey, if the real estate agents are going to go, if it's going this way, why not pivot to the next point and start a company that doesn't have commissions? Maybe flat fee. I don't know. I'm just.
There's a lot of flat fee. See, I think I think it is going to change eventually. Actually, this goes into our next topic here, but I think it is going to change. I think it's going to change slowly. You've got a lot of, you got big demographics of people who are millennials and then people who are Gen X who were pretty much raised on the fact that, hey, I need a real estate agent, right? Especially if you're a first-time home buyer, you don't know anything about it. If there's a flat fee service company that comes out and says, hey, you only have to pay me X amount, there's already those already, right? They haven't taken market share yet for whatever reason. Maybe their service sucks, or maybe just a lot of people don't know about them. Maybe there's some lobbyists or regulations that's keeping them out of our particular area. But I think a lot of buyers are going to realize, like, I don't know anything about this business to be sitting here writing contracts on a house that I'm trying to buy.
That's the scary part. Yeah.
It's a $500,000 house. I don't know anything about it. I think what's coming down the pipe in a couple years is there's going to be buyers out there who are going to be unrepresented. It's mainly going to affect a bunch of black people and a bunch of low-income people. There's going to be some Al Sharpton figure. Well, because, I mean, think about
You
it.
just went straight there.
Yeah, because think about it. If you're trying to buy a $500,000 house, and
Somebody's gonna direct it towards minorities. Is what
well,
you're
no,
saying.
I'm saying that if you're trying to buy a $500,000 house, you got a 9-to-5 job. You and your wife got a 9-to-5 job. You weren't expecting to pay an additional 3% in the event the seller doesn't want to pay that commission, because now they have the option, which they always did.
Mhm.
I was talking to Bo about this. It's funny.
Disclosure.
Yeah, disclosure. You always had, but here's the difference. In the MLS, the advertised commission, they basically, what they got them on was this small little sentence, one sentence where it said that the NAR said that you have to cooperate with an agent.
Yeah.
That cooperation only had to be 1 cent or higher.
Mm.
So in the MLS, you couldn't put 0. Now you can put 0. You had to put at least 1 cent, and that's what the lawsuit about. It's about 1 cent that you could pay them 1 cent, and they were like, "Oh, you shouldn't have to pay. The seller shouldn't have to pay that commission." And so now you can put 0. So here's how it affects the buyer. If you're a buyer, you're trying to buy a $500,000 house. Let's say that seller says, "I don't want to pay the agent." Well, now the buyer has to pay. That's 3% on top of, no lender's going to fund it.
Yeah,
So
you
that's
you
3%.
can't fund it in a mortgage, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's 3% on their down payment that they had to pay. Let's say the seller says, "I don't want to pay closing costs either." That's 4% that you got to pay for closing costs, and now you got to come out of the pocket another 3%. Where most buyers are like, "Dude, I don't got freaking $25,000, $30,000, $15,000 extra that I got to pay on my closing costs." So it's not gonna affect like guys like us that got, we got pretty good money, we got some equity in our properties if we want to move it. It's really going to affect the first time home buyer. What's going to happen, I think, long term, in my little crystal ball, they're going to see that, hey, wait a minute, I don't have any representation. A couple buyers are going to get screwed over, and then they're going to come back and start suing for buyer agency again. That's what I think is going to happen.
What do you think?
I think that, just like Dan said, that down payment and closing costs are already tough enough to get.
Yeah.
Right. So when you say, even if whatever you're negotiating in terms of the sales commission, now that buyer's agent is saying, "I'm worth this amount." Okay, now my buyer has to pay this agent this amount that he believes he's worth. Well, I don't like that number. Will you come down? Will you negotiate? Now you're negotiating between the buyer and the buyer's agent. They can't come to an agreement. They go to another agent. I don't know whether or not that agent has already signed the buyer's agreement. I don't know what it does. It sounds like it will have to edit the buyer's agreement, because if you're gonna be locked in with me for the next 3 to 6 months trying to find you a house, then you also need to know how much you're gonna pay me, 2%, 3%, whatever. But if they can't come to those terms, then this buyers not only shopping for lenders, but buyers shopping around for agents who will do it for the cheapest, or who's going to do it that's going to meet my needs. I think it brings a lot of confusion into a business that's already stressful enough. And we as title companies, I don't know that y'all have a lot to manage on your side, right? Abstract and courthouse and all the things.
We don't get shoppers.
Right. We're project managers in every single sense of the word. Like, I'm dealing with managing expectations of buyers, agents, title companies, all the things, appraisers, whatever. And I just think it begins to frustrate and burn. It'll burn people out with this. I've already seen it where agents are saying, in the contract, there's this property has zero buyer representation, zero buyer commission involved in this listing. Like,
oh, you're already seeing it.
Oh yeah, I've seen it 3 times in the past 2 weeks.
Oh wow,
I got it on a couple of my listings. They're like, "We don't want to pay the agent." I'm like, "All right, well, here's the conversation I'm having with my.
How you gonna come with that money?"
And I want to hear what you think, John. What I'm telling my sellers is, you can pay the buyer's agent whatever you want to pay.
Yeah,
you always could. But that wasn't the conversation people were having, which kind of messed up the game. But do know that, a lot of times the real estate agent may come and ask, hey, is it okay if I add my commission to the sales price? Because at the end of the day, the buyer's bringing the money to the table anyway. So it doesn't really affect your bottom line if we're adding that to the sales price. So that's kind of the conversation I'm having with my sellers.
But then will you run into an appraisal gap now?
And that's the conversation. Like, hey, we could run into a situation where it doesn't appraise for that much. What would you like to do in that situation, Mr. and Mrs. Seller?
So then if you run into the appraisal gap, what do you do about your commission? Because your commission is the thing as a buyer's agent that's got this appraisal gap.
Well, it always was. It was just fudged in the numbers.
But now
it's explicit.
So now
that's the conversation that you're having with your buyers. Is
you're
like,
worth what you're worth.
Hey,
right?
you know that there's some situations where they're not going to pay me. My fee is this, and we can negotiate that. But you're going to have to come up with that in the event the seller doesn't pay me.
So now,
just like your lawyer, just like your doctor, they're going to send you a bill at the end of the transaction.
So that's what I was going to ask. So now, are you setting up something from a?
Well, you have that conversation in the beginning.
I know, but I'm saying, like, let's say you do run into that. Are you now, because Dan Willer Properties or whatever LLC you might have, are you now invoicing that borrower for?
That's a good question.
For that amount, and you pay me back every month?
That's a good question, bro. I don't know. If they say they don't got it,
because you know what's going to happen.
Oh, let me ask you this:
because you ain't gonna get that money. You invoice them every month.
What do you think is going to happen, John?
I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest. I mean, I don't think they can back out now, right?
With the lawsuit, we're too far.
Yeah, so I think we're too far in. I think something's going to change. I don't know. What do you, I mean? I can't imagine.
What's the business that you see popping up?
If it does change, I think there will be just some form of like a. I mean, I support agents, by the way, so I'm trying to say that they're gonna like.
Agents getting paid too.
Yeah, they're very valuable. But if it does change, I think something's gonna. I don't know, maybe not a one-stop shop, but something like where someone like a Zillow may come in and say, our local Zillows could come in and just say, hey, we're going to attorney firms, maybe title companies, that just say, hey, we'll handle this transaction. You want that house? Great. Whenever you're ready, we'll write up the contract for you. An attorney will write up the contract.
You know what's wild?
For $1,500.
Like, there's some reduced commission brokerages out here. Like Samson, I think might be one or whatever. Redfin already has with their flat fee and whatever. I think this might, and they got involved. They were named in the lawsuit anyway.
Yeah.
I think this is an opportunity where we're talking about business. Redfin has, I think, the capital and they have the manpower and maybe even the strategy to say, okay, we were named in this lawsuit. We're one of the largest brokerages around. If this is really going to take this thing, let's take it a turn and say, look, we'll revolutionize the industry by going like 1%, or like you pay us a flat dollar amount, percentage or whatever. It still gets into percentages at some point. I mean, no matter how you look at it, but you reduce, like if you work with us, we'll continue to give you a high level service. Yeah. But you only have
$2,000 will get it done. Yeah. $2,000.
Like you only pay us this amount of money. And if there's an appraisal gap, then, they'll figure it out. They have their lawyers and whoever else. I mean, for me, if I was already like in the crosshairs and had to do a settlement, or I was part of a $1.8 billion lawsuit and I'm getting ready to take a hit, as a smart businessman, I'm thinking like, how can I change maybe the business model to, number one, help me offset what I just had to pay out, but also set myself up so I don't shut the business down, set myself up to be able to go forward in the long haul. Yeah. Because if this change is coming, and if in reality is, if it's coming, then it's coming. So let me get ahead of it, right?
I mean, KW's have to. What is Keller Williams saying?
I mean, I think it's, it's about the conversation that you're having with your buyers and preparing them ahead of time. Like, hey, again, most of the time people are paying. Sometimes they're not. Mm-hmm. In the event they are, here's my fee is this. Mm-hmm. And if they are, cool. You don't got to do anything. If they're not, do you give me permission to negotiate my commission on the sales price? Yeah. If they say no, well, then here's what you owe. And if they say, well, I want to pay you $0.00, then that's probably not the client for you.
So you will walk away from, because again, I know.
So Keller Williams corporate has already told you guys to say this.
No. They didn't. That last part was me. Like, but what they're telling us is, again, it's not so much about See, people don't really focus on what they're paying.
before the settlement, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, before this, see, here's what messed it up. People were saying the wrong things before their settlement even happened. They were saying, "Oh, I'm a buyer's agent. You don't have to pay me," which set up a false expectation because buyers didn't realize, wait a minute, I do have to pay you, or agents would get in trouble because the commission would be like 1%, and they would just put, "Oh, my commission," in the buyer agency agreement, which a lot of buyers weren't getting signed because we were in the glory days. So people were getting lazy. They didn't get buyer agency agreement signed, and then they would find out later, "Oh, my commission is only 1% or 2%." Then they try to go after the buyer, and the buyer's like, "Well, I never even signed a buyer agency agreement." Then they try to go after them after the transaction is closed or whatever. But the buyer representation, the way it was supposed to always be, is this is my fee, and if the seller pays me, then great. If not, do know that you're responsible for paying your buyer's agent, just like the seller is responsible for paying their listing agent. So that's what the conversation always was supposed to be anyway. So it hasn't really changed. It's changed for some of the lower volume agents because they don't really have a bunch of at bats, right? So they're not having as many conversations, and they're not really. They don't really.
No,
have
but I
much
mean,
value.
has KW said anything to you guys, like corporate?
Yeah,
like,
we've been, dude.
like
We were at Bo's
Gary's-
Lake House talking about this for like freaking 6 hours or 4 hours, bro. Like they.
Well, there's your answer. I mean, if they're already kind of preparing the agents to say new things now and prepare,
because there's
there's a business model out there.
They're countersuing. Like this, it's not far from. They haven't settled yet. Gary Keller was one of the last people to testify in the NAR lawsuit thing. And really, to go super deep, not going to go super deep because there's like some insider information that not for the general public, but there is a particular company behind this entire class action lawsuit.
Who is it?
I'll tell you offline. But what they're trying to do is basically bring this part of it down so that they can come in and do an information grab so that they can grab, because all of it is just about money. Money is really just information. Whoever has the most information is going to have the money, right? Whoever has the properties where people want to look, they got the eyes, and then they can charge their fee. So there's this one company.
There's always a company behind it.
There's always a company behind it because it has to be somebody that has standing.
You heard about this whole joint venture thing in DC?
No, what was it? Oh yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, where like DC's outlawed title joint ventures.
Who's doing that?
There's a couple title companies, from my understanding, that were behind it, pushing it hard.
JVs, you mean like
Joint ventures,
like title company and real estate brokerage, or title company and lender, or
title company and real estate brokers and real estate agents owning a part of a title company. So they're saying DC now that's illegal. We don't have any joint ventures.
CLA does not have any joint ventures.
But yeah, so they're talking about that. So,
Wow.
but who's behind it is other title companies.
Yeah,
pushing it. So
last question I want to ask you, John. We asked all our guests this. We'll skip the comment section because we're running behind. We're running along, actually. Pause. So, question for you. I'm going to adjust this to title companies. Where do you see title companies and the role of the title company 20 years from today?
20 years from today. Probably the same thing, I think. Same area. You know, here's one thing I've learned. I've been in this industry for probably 20 years now, throughout, my dad being an appraiser, just kind of being in it. Everyone over dramatizes, that's not even a word, but over exaggerates the changes that happen, right? So like when Rocket Mortgage came out, Quicken Loans, remember when they came out and they started doing the online radio ads, and they came out and they everyone thought that's going to be the end of the brick and mortar,
Yeah.
And or the local broker. And then did it take some market share? Yeah, 100% they did. But did it put people like you out of business? No. And so I don't think anything's ever going to really change that much. I like even for the commission part. I don't think agents are going to go away, right? That's like the most dramatic part. Like, oh, agents are done. No, it's not going to be done. Maybe there'll be less maybe, hey, on the agent side, maybe there'll be less agents, and maybe everyone's going to get paid $3,000 for buyers. But hey, instead of doing 1-2 buyers a month, you do 10 buyers a month now, and so you may have to work a little harder, but that's about it. And that's how I kind of view everything. And so it's it's not that complicated, So I don't think anything's going to change in title. And title is pretty tough, right? Because it's so county by county regulated. where like the recording documents are all housed by the counties, and so it's like you're gonna have to get all that changed.
You know what I think about title companies?
What?
Nobody can do the job that y'all do.
Yeah.
So like, if the paper, I could have a perfect loan. You have a perfect contract, perfect transaction interaction with the listing side, the buy side, whatever. If you get to the table and it fumbles,
Yeah.
like, or the paperwork is not correct, the deed and the note and like the numbers aren't, the author's not right. Like, we can't do that job. Even the explanation of the line items. Could we learn it? Sure. Would it take time? Yeah. But I don't think in 20 years, our consumers, they're caught up with the emotions of buying a house and all the things that they're doing work-wise, family-wise, whatever. We have our jobs. Y'all's role is going to be, I think, even more important to make sure that it's tight and smooth and comfortable in the celebratory moment. I don't think that y'all are going to go anywhere. Like maybe there's some, smaller ones that tend to go away. The ones that are not as organized, they tend to go away. But the ones that are good and really about their business and about their people, y'all are
I mean, most
I
people
think
want to
CLA
buy a
is strong.
car online. You're gonna buy a house. You know what I mean? Like,
What do you know about smart contracts?
Nothing. That's not my forte, Joel. And them, yeah.
Somebody told me about that. Smart contracts could take some of the load from title companies, some of the market share.
So, smart contracts. I don't know.
I don't know anything about it. I know it's on blockchain, and they were basically saying that like that could be a disruptor.
Blockchain. Okay. What about it?
They were just saying that blockchain technology with smart contracts could provide like I guess a third party, like a distributed third party.
Well, yeah. So that goes back to what I was just saying, right? So these are all like these. So blockchain. I mean, you would have to get like, maybe this could be a business model, but you would have to get all the counties to buy in, and then the counties would then have to say, hey, am I going to get rid of my employees there, right? Because like you want to go record in Baltimore City, you go down to Baltimore City, record, right? And then it's like, okay, so then there's people there that record it for you, and it's, and some of these things, some of them are online now, but it's not as like this blockchain one system for every county, That's not how it works. Yeah. And then you go to Washington, like Washington State. Those are all private companies.
So you don't think they could decentralize it?
I don't know. Why would they?
Money faster.
Well, it would be less. It would be less money for.
If they made it up in volume, right?
It would be less money for the counties and states. I mean, unless the counties and states wanted to do it, yeah. But then we're also issuing title insurance, and then so who's going to take on that responsibility? I mean, there's lenders out there that, like, lenders would say, I've talked to lenders before where they don't want to own title companies. Why? Because they don't want that much exposure.
Yeah.
So it's like, the counties want, then who's going to take on this exposure? That's what you have to think about, right? Okay, so if you got rid of the title companies, but you still have title insurance, who's the one taking on all that exposure? Because I can tell you one thing, when you get a title claim, the title insurance company pays it out, but they don't stop there. They may, if you're the homeowner and you put a claim in, Fidelity will pay you, right? But then they're going to come talk to me and say, "Hey, how did we get a $200,000 claim?" Oh, okay, John, this is not a pat on the back. Trust me, it's not. It's not like a thing where you say, "Hey, what's it called? Hey, we understand things happen, John. Yeah, good luck. Next time, don't try not to happen." Sure. They want to recoup their money.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's not like they don't give things for free.
For sure.
So it's a business to business transaction. It's not personal. So for you, it's great. For us, it's, hey, we need to recoup some of this money somehow. Yeah. What are we going to do? Yeah. So I don't see like that happening ever.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Thanks, John, for jumping on the pod, bro.
Yeah, man, anytime.
We're trying to get you for a while, man.
Yeah.
Made some time. This is dope, man.
Thanks for coming to
let's do it again. Yeah,
we'll do it again, sure, bro. That's it. Thank you for jumping on to the Real Estate Wire.
Where can they find you?
If you're looking to, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Hit the notifications button so that you're the first to know when we drop new content. Where can they find you at, John?
Instagram, I guess.
You got to put your at. What's your
John Coester _.
Awesome. And where can they find you at, Coach Marcus?
At Fields Mortgage Group at Mortgage Coach Marcus.
And I am Dan Wheeler, Sells Homes on all platforms. Thank you guys so much for jumping on the podcast. For all of us here at the Real Estate Wire, we are out. Solid.
That was cool, man. Yeah, that was fun.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Appreciate you guys having me out, man. Sure.